maybe going on during the week, leading up to the ball game. Who knows? But I think there's potential there for a great event.
When those discussions first started, was it always planned to be a neutral site deal in Tulsa, or was that something that came later?
Well, we talked about starting a series with Arkansas, just home and home, and that never did quite develop. And then when I think when Eric Musselman came in, we kind of hit him up with what about this possibility, and kicked back and forth a couple of different options, but ending up I think both sides feeling pretty good, pretty excited about the final site being in Tulsa every year.
Appreciate it, Lon.
You bet.
Still got to unmute
yourself.
Oh,
come on.
Yeah. Me, I guess.
Nathan, your hand's up. Do you have a question?
Yes. Coach, obviously with Tulsa being in Oklahoma, but the geographic distance, Fayetteville actually being a little bit closer, you mentioned it, do you expect a 50-50 split, or how do you expect it to work out at the BOK Center?
Absolutely, and that's the way the tickets will be divvied up. Arkansas have half of them, we'll have half of them, and hopefully both sides can use them all. It's a great, again, Illinois, Missouri is a great event. It's a great event, fans on both sides. I think, too, it falls on that weekend after the football championship where maybe there's a little bit of a step back, a deep breath, and yet immediately turn to, the border war, whatever comes to be called, with Arkansas and Oklahoma. So, yeah, I think it'd be great potential for it.
Talked to Coach Musselman earlier today, and he mentioned not just the geographic distance. They have a lot of graduates in Tulsa also. Is there something with playing in Tulsa besides just the relation geographically between the two cities?
Well, it's a great arena. The arena is great. The people there, have really supported, the games that we've had there. They've been very supportive, and Tulsa's a great town. So, just very natural with it being halfway between the two campuses.
Hey, Lon, this is Dean Blevins. How are you?
Good, Dean. How you doing?
Doing well. I was just wondering, your season starts after football, but not too much later. All the buzz right now is, will we have a college football season in 2020? What do you think about that? What do you see as the stumbling blocks, or maybe things that are going in the favor of having it?
Well, as you know, the craziness about what we're dealing with is that every week there's more information. And every week we kind of use the experience that we learned from the previous week. Are we making progress? Are we having fewer cases, fewer positives, fewer people dying? I mean, it's just such craziness. So, and we certainly hope to. I mean, I think everyone wants to so badly. And yet there's so many pitfalls and so many you have to anticipate what might happen. And if something bad does happen, how do we handle that? You got to be prepared for that. So I think, each week we'll have a better idea of if we're going to be able to go in the fall or not. But I think, the uncertainties certainly definitely outweigh what we know will happen without any question. So we hope to, we need to, not just football, but just school starting, the school experience, the volleyball, the soccer, all the other sports, as well. Okay, Ryan, I'll let you tell him.
Still need to unmute, Ben.
I'll get it right eventually. Kyle, do you have a question?
Yeah, Coach, earlier today, Musselman had talked about how you were one of the best coaches he's ever worked for, just in terms of allowing him time to spend with his family because his son was very young at the time. Just your reaction to that, and then what you saw in him as a coach all those years ago.
Well, I appreciate much saying that. And that's always a goal, is that we make it a great experience for our staff and their families. And we we take very seriously what we do, and we work very hard at it. But if a coach has a son's game where practice is ending at 4:00 and he's got a son's game that's starting at 4, then we want him to get out of there and go to the game, be there on time. And so that's the goal. And I had the good fortune of playing and coaching under Coach Hartman, and his style was a little bit different in that we went back to the office late at night often. And in 45 years, we've never gone back as a staff to the office at night. We're going to get our work done during the day, and we intentionally hire people that are self-motivated, and we don't micromanage. We expect them to take care of their business, and if we do a good job on the hiring front, then that will happen. And so our guys do. They work extremely hard. They take care of business. They get their work done when they need to get it done, and enjoy the families whenever they can do that. So that's a priority to us, and we appreciate much saying that.
What do you see in him as a coach back then?
Well, the passion, great knowledge, coaching family, coaching background, grew up with it, relentless energy, very, very sharp, very, very good.
Thanks.
Yep.
Any more questions for Coach?
Yeah, Ben, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Hey, Lon, this is Bob Holt, the Arkansas Democrat Gazette. How you doing?
Fine, thanks. You?
Hey, also on Eric, he said you all didn't know each other, and he appreciated you hiring him because it was a bit of a step up from what he was doing in Orlando. What was it about Eric not having a previous relationship that made you decide to pick him?
Just in talking to other people, he came highly recommended. He, had that, coaching blood in his background, his family, his network, great relationships, again, relentless worker, very, very, when I met with him and talked to him about basketball, he's really on top of things, very organized. So just all the things that you'd want in any coach. He's been very successful, many times an NBA coach, college coach, so done a great job. So it was a pretty easy decision.
And you got a player from Arkansas, Austin Reeves, on your team. I know he had a pretty good junior year for you. What do you think of his season, and what do you expect from him going into a senior season?
Big things from Austin. Yeah, absolutely. I think if you were to ask Austin, he'd probably be the first one to say that he's going to shoot it a lot better. When you think about how good of a year he did have, and he didn't shoot it for a very good percentage or shoot it nearly as, like you'd expect him to, I expect him to have a great senior year. I expect him to shoot the ball like he can from three-point range. He, really improved his game off the dribble, doing a lot of things for teammates off the dribble. So yeah, you'll have a really, really good senior season.
As a transfer from Wichita, what made him attractive to you?
He had a good first 2 years at Wichita State, even though he was more of a catch and shoot guy at that time, and he shot the ball for a very over 40% from three. Then during his redshirt year, he really challenged himself to do all the things that he didn't do earlier as a player in terms of putting the ball on the floor and driving the ball and making plays off the dribble, and just kept working on his game. He got bigger, stronger. He came in with a little bit of a shoulder injury that had lingered a bit during his career, and he worked hard to strengthen that and had no problems with that during this most recent season. So we expect him to be fully healthy going into the season and have a great senior year.
I know he averaged 5 boards and I think over 3 assists, so pretty complete. What do you think of his overall game, all-around game?
Very complete. Yeah, he can do a lot of things. He's a good defender, too. He's got a good field defensively. He's very active. But like you say, the stat sheet indicates he's a good all-around player. He's a good rebounder. He makes plays for others off the dribble, very shifty with the ball. And again, he did all that without making shots like he's going to. He's going to make shots this year, and anxious to get him back into town so we can get to work on it.
And, Chris Crutchfield, you obviously know him very well. He's on the staff over here. I know he was with you a long time. When Eric reached out to you to want to interview him, I guess, for a job, was that awkward at all, or how did that all go down from your perspective?
Not really awkward. Crush had been close on a couple of head jobs, And his two sons his younger son had just graduated prior to that, prior to the season that Musk came in a year ago, and I thought Crutch was exactly what Musk was looking for, and more Musk and I talked about it. It was a good opportunity for Crutch to go over there and have a big impact, and kind of broaden his network, if you will. And it turned out well. They had a good season, and Crutch did a great job.
But one more about Eric. He's a guy that his whole background, I've been in pro ball, whether it's NBA, CBA, G League, I guess, whatever it's called now. And but then he decided to get into college coaching. Were you surprised that he got into college coaching? What have you thought about what he did at Nevada and now what he's doing at Arkansas?
Yeah, did a fantastic job. As assistant at LSU and Arizona State, and then the head job at Nevada, did a fantastic job there. Musk is very smart. He's very smart, and you combine that with his work ethic and energy, and it's going to get good results. And that's what he's gotten everywhere he's been, and he'll do that. He'll do that for sure at Arkansas.
I don't think you guys ever faced each other as head coaches. What do you think that'll be like? And a lot of times people don't like to play friends, but like you say, this game makes a lot of sense in a lot of ways. But how do you feel from a personal standpoint facing Eric's team?
Yeah, always a little awkward when you play friends. You play people that have been on your staff or that you'd work together because whoever wins, the little moment there of concern about the guy on the other bench. So that's why it's difficult to play friends. And yet, I think in this case, it's good for basketball in the state of Oklahoma and the state of Arkansas. I think this can really be something that builds into a great event, hopefully in the first year. But I know it'll get better with each year that we do it.
Okay, I'm good. One thought: what do you guys think about calling this the tussle in Tulsa? I just jotted that down. Do you like that?
Sounds good to me. Yeah, that's got a ring to it. We might have to put Ben might have to start a contest or something and see what we come up with.
Okay, I'm good. Thanks a lot. It's good talking with you.
Your entry's the first one.
Okay. Well, if there's a prize, let me know.
There's not much of a prize.
We'll go.
Pride of ownership.
Joe, you also have to give us your leader in the clubhouse for a name before you ask your question.
Ooh. I can't think, none off the top of my head.
Go ahead with your question then.
Lon, I'm curious, just with some of the non-conference schedules that you've had in recent years, you always seem to schedule pretty aggressively with a high caliber opponents. When you kind of look at what you guys have right now, and I know the schedule is complete.
Goes up there.
Uh-oh.
There you go. Now you're back, maybe.
Hey, Joe, you froze there. If you want to maybe rephrase your question real quickly.
Is this one of your tougher non-conference schedules since you've gotten OU?
It would rank right there, I would think. You think through. I mean, every year, like you say, we've had challenging schedules. They've been very good for us as it relates to preparation for Big 12 play, and as it relates to, I think, selection in the NCAA tournament. We've benefited greatly from success in non-conference play. So this will be a schedule, though, difficulty-wise, will rank right there with most of the others, I would think.
And if you could just talk real quickly about the transfers you guys bring in, Mo Gibson and Elijah Harkless. Just what do you guys? I know that kind of with the transfer rules, if they might not be available until. Curious what you see in those guys and what they can bring to your program.
Yeah, both of them. In talking to their coaches from previous schools, they said that the same things in terms of very team oriented, very self motivated, gym rats. Love to work on their game. Willing to do whatever. They said all the things that as a coach you like hearing about a player, and both those guys, and talking to them on the phone and visiting with them, so excited to be here and can't wait to get here. And it's unfortunate that we've got the pandemic, it throws everything off kilter a bit. But whenever we can get them here, I know they'll be excited, and we look forward to that.
Is it strange at all that for Mo
Poor Joe.
Very
Joe, we
strange
lost you
about-
again, buddy.
Strange about emotions, something there.
is it strange?
One more time, Joe.
With Mo Gibson, is it strange just a guy you scouted against last year, played against last year, to have him on your team? Just how odd is that situation?
That'll be a little bit unusual, I guess, but certainly respect Moses' game. He played very well against us, especially in Denton last season. But he's a guy that, again, the coaches just raved about his work ethic, about his unselfishness, about his desire to get into the gym and work on being a better player. So a good all-around player now, and shoots the ball well and competes like crazy. So be a little strange having played against him last year, but be good to have him as a Sooner.
We'll go to
Thanks,
Eric
Lon.
Bailey next. Whoa.
Okay.
Hey,
Am I good?
hey, Eric, you have to
Hey,
unmute
you
yourself.
didn't unmute.
You have to unmute yourself. Everyone knows.
Lon, he did that on purpose because I made fun of him. Hey, Lon, thanks for doing this. You have any concerns that there may not be a traditional basketball season next year?
Definitely, that's a possibility. I think everything's up in the air right now. You know, we could start on time, we could start late, we could start without fans, we could start. I think that's what everyone has to, the starting point with everyone's thinking. Who knows what's going to be the case a month from now? You know, if we can reopen and be safe and make great progress, then hopefully that will continue to trend in that direction. If it blows back up on us and we have another, surge in cases, then we could throw us back a few months. You know, I think, the craziness and unfortunate thing about all this is the uncertainty of what lies ahead. There's not an ending point. You know, every week it's different information. Every week you might have an answer to something that you gave last week that looks ridiculous this week because circumstances change. So yeah, we're most concerned about when we do get guys back, making sure there's safety involved. Then there's safety for the fans, safety for the opponents. I mean, so many things that go into the mix, and we don't have answers for any of that. I think it's a wait and see and adjust as we go and err on the side of being safe.
In the past, you always mentioned the importance of summer basketball, summer conditioning, and, building camaraderie. What about the accountability for these players this summer, and what do you expect out of them when they're in different places?
Yeah, we'll miss, if they're not here in June and July, then we'll miss that greatly. We already missed the opportunity for individual workouts in April. And usually that's a real key time to individual skill development. We talk to them on the phone. We encourage them to be doing something each day to make themselves a better player. And yet, they're on their own. And yet these guys, they want to be good players. I would imagine most are doing something, to work on their game, but we're not there. And so if we're not there in June or July, if they're not here with us, if we're not able to work them out, then we'd miss that time greatly, as would every other program in the country. So, yeah, it's an uncertain time. We hope to have them here, but certainly nothing definite about that.
Thanks, Lon. Stay safe.
You bet. Thank you.
Let's go to Kerry Murdoch next.
By the way, Lon, I just want to point out Dean Blevins didn't wait his turn and then he left after he asked his questions. I hope you'll hold that against him.
Oh, absolutely will. We'll remember that for a long time.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. That's why you're the best. You mentioned about, guys being at home and stuff, monitoring guys. How much will it just help emotionally if the NBA gets back and gets into the playoffs for everybody in basketball?
I think without question, if we can do that and safely and it proves to be the right step, then that's a huge lift. Golf starting in June, scheduled to start, I think, June 15. That would be a huge lift. Anything that gets us moving in the right direction and has good results. You know, to move in the right direction and then have it blow up in our face does no one any good. So I think it's important to be safe and not overly conservative, but careful about what we're doing, because it's not just a matter of doing something. We have to move in the right direction and do it well. So we'll find out, but it would be great to see the NBA able and ready and get back into action successfully.
And also, you know, you being a Jordan school, I'm sure you haven't had a lot of other things to do. You probably watched all the Jordan documentaries so far.
Okay.
What has been your impression, and how much do you like that you know, a younger generation is getting introduced to what, you know, Jordan and Jordan brand is all about?
And there's some good in that for sure, because anyone growing up, you know, the younger generation today never got a chance to watch Jordan play, so they're probably getting a better feel for the passion he had, you know, the work ethic. I mean, all those things that come through. And I've only caught bits and pieces of the documentary, but parts I've caught have been great. Shown the passion. It showed how relentless Jordan was in terms of you know, making his team do what necessary to win championships. So younger guys, I think there's lessons in that for younger players for sure.
Hey, thanks for doing this, Lon. Appreciate
You
it.
bet. Thank you.
Jason Kersey, did you have any questions?
I did. Thank you, Ben. Hi, Lon. How you doing?
Good. How you doing?
Good. You've mentioned Illinois and Missouri a couple times earlier. So I'm just wondering if you could expand a little bit on what's so special about these regional non-conference games and what kinds of things can make them so special.
They have a feel. They have a feel of an NCAA tournament game where both teams have a lot of fans there. It's kind of a little bit weird initially because on every bucket there's a great reaction, you know, and that reaction's coming from half the stadium. You know, the next bucket by the other team, the same reaction, but it's coming from the other end of the stadium. So you just got great response to every play, every bucket, and you know, obviously when you're playing at home, you know, when you do well and you get great reaction. When the other team does well, there's nothing. So it's a little bit atmosphere in that way. So again, it's just something. Hopefully, the fans from both schools will just you know, take it on to, you know, bring families, enjoy it, you know, make something of it, because it really a special.
Do you have to prepare as if it's an NCAA tournament game in terms of the kinds of things you do to get your guys ready?
Yard game, and you know, not that you prepare any differently other than mentally, you know, you know, hey, you know, there's not a lot of us here, and there's going to be thousands of them, so you got to, you know, go in and really be focused and all the things that you normally do for a road game. But otherwise, you know, you're not really thinking about the crowd in preparation. You bet. Thank you.
Does anyone have any other questions for Coach?
Yeah, hey, this is Bob Holt again from the Arkansas Democrat Gazette. Lon, for our instance, who may not be, you know, as familiar with your team as the Big 12, what would you say about
Doolittle? So that's our loss. Then we got Jamal Benamy and Corbin Merritt that moved on in a transfer away. We got you know, Trey Phipps coming in to add to this group, a couple of other transfers, but we'll have the base of our club in terms of numbers back. You know, we'll push the ball offensively. We'll try to score quickly if we can, swing it if we can't, and make plays for each other. Then defensively, pretty much all man, and try to dictate a little bit on that end as well. But we'll have a good group back. We'll have a fun group to work with, and anxious to get them back in town and see if we can't start making some progress.
And I think the announcement said it's going to be two game series in Tulsa with possibility of the next 2 seasons as well. Was this something you'd like to maybe do, like Missouri and Illinois? They play every year. Is this something you'd like to do, make like an annual thing?
Yeah, definitely, absolutely. And I see that growing year, and being again, you got 2 not that far apart, traveling equidistance. Tulsa being a great town for alumni from both institutions. So absolutely, this can be a great event.
Okay, thanks a lot for doing this.
You bet. Tara's been not able to see
Yeah,
you.
I could see her. Tara, do you have any? You want to close this out?
No.
Hold it against him, Tara. Don't let him do that.
Yeah. Well, this is Alyssa Orange. I'm using Tara as login, but that's not relevant. And Bob
All right.
stole all my questions, so I apologize, Coach. That
No problem.
I'm not as quick as Bob.
Nobody's ever accused me of being quick at anything, especially my editors.
Well, unless if I'm missing anyone else, I think that that might be it. Thanks for joining us, guys. Coach, thanks so much for doing this.